just about survived that 90 minutes. I feel I think my heart was definitely taking a bit of a pounding during that game. But Brian, how do you digest that game? Do you come away with it, just with pure elation with the win, or is it still worrying for you how poor we were for large parts?
First of all, pure elation because we just got the job done. I'm going to take one for the team. Obviously, Sim, I was with you 2 years ago for Forest, went out the first round.
Yeah.
With you a year ago, went to Fulham, out the first round. I stayed as far as a different country to quite guarantee that Spurs would get through to the next round. But it definitely are more questions than answers have come out of tonight, and someone needs to call the police because Spurs have got away with absolute murder.
Yeah, I mean, why? I mean, in terms of the overall performance, let's talk about how bad we were, I guess, for the first 88 minutes. What do you put that down to? Why it was just so abject?
There's so many. I mean, I thought there might be 3 or 4 changes, 5 at max. There were so many changes, weren't there? How can we build any
8 changes?
Up? How can we build consistency up when we just keep chopping and changing like that? I get Ange was in a no-win situation if we'd lost. If we'd lost and he made huge changes, it would have been why he made changes. And if he played a full strength team, it would have been why didn't he try some of the other players? But I don't understand how we have gone from this time last year playing the most stunning, breathtaking, free-flowing, attacking football to horseshoe football and not even taking a shot. If that first half performance had been under Nuno, the whole fan base collectively would have gone out. I mean, don't get me wrong, it did go berserk at half time, but the meltdown would have been a million times worse. That first half was totally unacceptable. And saying that we're much more physically fit and ready for the season ahead than last year. Well, that's not been proved right, has it? There were so many woeful performances, and I actually said to myself at the start of the second half, just before we went 1-0 down, for the first time in Ange Postecoglou's tenure, I don't know if the players understand what he's asking to do, or they're just not doing it. It was the first time I was heavily conflicted with what was going on, but we dug ourselves out of it, didn't we?
Yeah, just about, Daegu. I think, if we didn't have that quality to call on, the Kulus, the Madders, the Sonnies to come off the bench there, I don't think we're even scoring in that game, to be honest, Daegu. And that, for me, is the biggest worry. We're supposed to be developing this system, this attacking Ange ball, if you like, system, way of playing. Yet, in that first half, I didn't see any Ange ball. I didn't see any creation of any chances. I didn't even see us take a shot. So for me, there's really, really worrying signs, even though we did, get over the line and get into the next round. What kind of changes would you like to see going forward in this League Cup, say 4th round? Doesn't matter who we get, regardless of who we get, how would you line up for that next round?
Amir, honestly, brother, I actually think Ange, after this game, has to have a look at himself, take some responsibility, and say, I've tried to play the same formation again, which, to his credit, he said he was going to do it, but realise it's not working in the Premier League. It almost cost him dearly in the first cup competition that we could have gone in, and he's got to think, maybe I've got to change something. Whether he does or whether he doesn't is another thing, but you can't come away from this. I mean, I had a very good friend of mine, Craig O'Sullivan, reach out to me when we were 1-0 down and said, you do realise if this ends up as a defeat, Ange would have played 4 cup games and we would have lost 3 of them. And you look at it, they're a worrying sight. Like I said, I'm still defending my manager. I just think at the moment he is treading water with the way things are going, and there's got to be some form of change, because I honestly don't think the players want to play the way he's playing, or they don't understand it. But one thing I will quickly say, I've come on here before and on many shows and defended Brennan Johnson. criticised him when criticism has been deserved. But do you know what? Fair goddamn play to him. When that ball came through to him, the pressure and adrenaline and nerves he probably was under, thinking if I miss this, the abuse I'm going to get personally, not about his football, is going to be horrific. But he took his moment, he put it away, and thanks to him, we're into the next round. So Brennan Johnson, love him, hate him, think he's crap, think he's going to turn good. He deserves a lot of credit tonight for putting that finish away.
It was first start today in a competitive game for the likes of Lucas Bergvall and Archie Gray. How did you feel like they got on tonight?
I think Bergvall did well. Put it this way, I think Bergvall done a lot better than Gray. I thought this might have been the moment for Gray to come out and show what he's capable of, especially against a fellow championship team, which he would have been used to. And it wasn't the performance I thought we'd get from him. But I have to say, during that first half, the nerves, the lack of cohesion, the style of football, I think that would have been a huge part of it. But I think Bergvall definitely outshone Archie Gray. But the one that's really concerning me now is Pape Matar. He looked like, forget Werner. Werner was just shambolic. But Pape Matar, who obviously started last season on fire, looks like a lost child. And it's worrying, especially with Bentancur's obviously inevitable upcoming ban. Because I think he's got till, if I'm right, Sim, he's got up until tomorrow to appeal it, hasn't he? I don't think he will do. So his ban will start as of what you would say, Brentford. But Pape Matar looked really lost. And fair play to Jed Spence as well. Fair play to Jed Spence, who, when I saw the lineup and he wasn't in, I thought, man, this guy has been royally screwed. At Europa, impressed in pre-season, now can't even get into this team. But he did himself the world of good and hopefully gives... I think he's putting Destiny under pressure. I really do. And fair play to him for putting on that performance and taking the goal the way he did.
Yeah, it was a good finish. It was a very good finish by Jed.
And Solanke now, 3 games, 3 starts in the Spurs shirt, hasn't got his first goal, was really, I would say, anonymous tonight compared to maybe some of the other previous games. Is how much of a concern is that?
Again, Simeon, I think this goes back to I don't think they understand what Ange is trying to do, or they're not taking on board, because I didn't see him regularly in the box. We couldn't get crosses into him. The delivery, I think it shows just how badly we actually need to go get a winger, wasn't it? Odebear's gone off with an unfortunate injury. We'll find out more later. But we can't get crosses in. And what is the point of having a big target man and then not giving him the service he needs? But he could have done better, could have done more. But he's got to get firing soon, hasn't he? We've got 2 strikers, one that's always injured and can score when he's playing, but he's always injured. And one that never gets injured, but got injured and has come back and is getting himself familiar with the team, but we're not giving him the service. The life of a Spurs fan, people. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And where would we be right now if it wasn't for Decky? Because I thought he really came on and changed the game in our favour.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for him, and we probably got, it was, I don't know if it was more luck than judgment, because he only came on because Werner got injured. But, he's been our best player by far this season, hasn't he?
I think it's between him and Porro, in all honesty. And I was happy to see him rested, because I keep getting concerned when he's going down with these knocks he's getting in the Premier League. But he certainly made a difference. He certainly came on and had a big impact. And Simeon, at the moment in our debate, you're night and day ahead of me, buddy. He is proving me wrong. And I've said it before. I think down the centre, he's a completely different player. Completely different player. And he showed again that he can be a very useful player. And he's proving that he deserves to be in that starting 11, doesn't he?
Well, to me, Daigle, he's almost the ultimate utility player, because you can play him in the middle, you can play him out on the wing, and you can play him as a false 9 if need be. So he can kind of play anywhere in that front 4 or 5, which to me, you know, is a huge advantage. And we saw as soon as he came on that little bit of ingenuity, that little bit of creativity to set Jed Spence through for the goal. And also you're looking at his hold-up play as well. I thought he did really well coming on. I'm just hoping, though, what you were relaying about Solanke and the rest of our front line there, that they do manage to find that cohesion, and we do start to score goals, and those players start getting on the score sheet, because I think things will look a lot different when, you know, you see players like Solanke or Richarlison's have a bit of confidence, have a few goals behind them. Because for me, that's what these guys are lacking. I mean, Solanke in the derby, you know, had a few chances to shoot. He didn't shoot. Tonight, I can't really blame him too much because there was just no service, literally nothing for him to feed off in the first half. And, you know, the way we play, we should be creating chances in abundance, really, in the front three. So we'll see how we get on against Brentford. But in terms of, you know, success this season, you've heard our manager Ange talk about winning trophies. Do you feel like this League Cup is one that we should be focusing on?
I've said it before. I said it last season. I think we need to be in the Europa League rather than the Champions League. I think if we are going to win any more, the biggest chance of success is taking these cups seriously and showing the respect that they deserve. Let's be serious. There is anyone that believes or thinks we're getting top 4, you're entitled to your opinion, but this is showing we're miles off. We are absolutely miles off. The clearest road to glory and silverware is these cups. At one point, it looked like we would have been 1 cup down, but thankfully we're not. He has to take these cups seriously. And obviously now you look at it, Amir, we have people like Pochettino and other managers that rested loads of people for the Europa, and then they were ready for the Premier League. I kind of think he's got to do it the other way around. I really do. I think, yes, he's got to obviously try and finish as high as he can in the Premier League, but getting through to the next round of the Europa and giving that a serious crack, I think holds a lot more chances of us getting Champions League football than top 4. And game management's going to be a huge thing, and we're going to have to find out what Odebear's injury is. Werner's injury, but Werner should be nowhere near that first team. Mikey Moore should be on that bench ahead of him. He was just awful today. And we go from there. But like you said, I mean, just to touch back on what you said about the forwards, they've got to click. They've got to click because we are getting through. We got through this game by the skin of our teeth. We are toothless against the scum, against the filth. We are toothless against Newcastle, even though we created. Obviously, we ran riot against Everton, but let's face it, anyone can run riot on Everton right now. And we are toothless against Leicester. So that front line has got to click, and it has got to click quick.
Well, if Odebear and Werner's injuries are significant, it first of all puts us in a problem because it means Johnson's obviously not going to have anyone to really change with on that right-hand side. And also it takes away, in terms of Odebear, you know, one of our signings who could have potentially switch things up in that front line. But what it potentially could do is it could open the door for Mikey Moore to start getting some more minutes. He was on the bench tonight.
Hopefully.
Didn't come on off the bench. But if Werner's injury and Odebear's injury is significant, then doesn't that give Moore some more opportunities? Probably.
You would hope so. You really would hope so, wouldn't you, Simeon? I mean, we saw him on the bench tonight, and that was a start. And I thought he might have. I can't remember. He didn't even come on, did he? From what I remember.
No, not tonight.
No.
Exactly. So, I honestly, I've got more faith in Mikey than I do Werner. If Odebear is out, obviously Mikey Moore has to come in. I hope it gives Mikey Moore the minutes because we can't keep holding it off. We have a real talent now. I'm not saying he should start, but we saw in pre-season, and yes, it's pre-season, the impact he can have. And I think, like Man City have done with Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis, Newcastle did with, is it Miley or whatever, the Man U did with the youngsters, we've got to have a spark from somewhere. Maybe Mikey can give us that spark as an impact sub or whatever it may be, because we do look absolutely toothless and devoid of ideas at the moment.
Ange was asked about the game in his press conference today, and he was asked why the performance was flat, and he says, "I don't know. The flat performance is a bit harsh. I thought it was. I thought it was a typical cup game. You sense that in the last 10 minutes we got real belief out there, and hopefully that's a good sign moving forward." He's saying that calling it a flat performance was harsh. I would say it's probably too kind. What do you think?
Oh, exactly. I was about to say that would be absolutely flattering. Saying it would be flattering to say it was flat. It was awful by a country mile. The worst performance under Ange by a country mile. I love his positivity in certain things, but I think he's got to stop and think what he's saying in some things, because you can't say that. The piranhas and the sharks are circling for him within this fan base already, and saying things like that doesn't do him any good. Listen, I agree with what he said when he said I win things in my second year. He was stating facts, not saying that he will win anything. But yeah, I think he's got to be careful what he's saying, because it just seems to be it seems to be getting him into more trouble within this fan base than good, and the ammunition is being loaded, and he's just putting extra bullets in the chamber.
Andrew Dean has just sent a super chat saying, "Shout out to Daigle. This game proves we are bang in the middle of a rebuild. We do not have the squad depth to compete in all competitions. Levy to make top 4 priority as usual. Good luck on our cups."
Yeah, I mean, Sim, I'll just say one thing to that as well, and I want to know what you guys think. A very good friend of mine from Seattle, who was part of Seattle Spurs, called John, he said this term to me, and it just won't go out my head, that they use in North American sports, which is you're either rebuilding or reloading. And what he means by that is you're either constantly starting from scratch and going again with a different way, or you're rebuilding or reloading, which means, like, take for example with Liverpool when they had Sane, Firmino, and Salah. They reloaded with a Jota. They reloaded with a Diaz, and they kept just bringing in more. We seem to constantly be rebuilding and never reloading. We let a player go, we refill it. There's never that quality.
We do the opposite, Daigle. We do the opposite of reloading. We download, we degrade our, you know, if you look at having Kane up top, and now we've gone to having players not of his ilk in that level. You know, we went from having Bale, and what did we do? We spent all his money on half of them that didn't even turn out to be anything.
I say we're always rebuilding, mate, never reloading. And
Very
that
frustrating.
terminology is literally something I'm living by now. I think it's spot on, and John from Seattle Spurs was bang on the money with that terminology. I don't know what people in the chat think, or North Americans that have heard that term. I think we're constantly rebuilding rather than reloading, and it's showing.
So moving on to Saturday against Brentford. We're on the Premier League. We're on the run of 2 losses on the trot now. After today's performance, albeit we are in the hat for the 4th round, albeit there's still a lot of people unhappy with how we played. How big is Saturday for Ange, do you think?
Mate, listen, not just for Ange, for this football club, for the sanity of the fans, for just everything. I think this football club right now, every single game is pressure building. Obviously, the atmosphere in the away end at half-time was not the best. Obviously, listen, people, the away fans, as you know, Sim, as you know, Amir, this is a Wednesday night. They've travelled after work to go to the game. They put in the miles. They pay the money. They give the most incredible support, as always, as vocal as whatever. They were unhappy, and for obvious reasons, as we all were, wherever you're watching it. If we don't get off to a fast start and grab the ball by the horns against Brentford, you know what that stadium's going to be like. We just need to put in a performance like Everton and just build on that and just say, right, Coventry was a starting block. Let's fucking go.
All right, Brian, look, always good to chat to you. Let's hope we can start turning these performances around. But always great to chat to you, my friend, and we'll see you very soon.
Always a pleasure. Have a great evening, guys.